Hi there, and welcome everyone to today's session, The Tale of the Vanishing Client. My name is Colin Connor. It's a pleasure to have you with us here today. A little bit of housekeeping just before we get into the meat and potatoes of the session here. This is going to be an interactive session like all of the sessions that we do. So we do have the chat available. Looks like we got some people chatting in, just confirming that my audio is coming through clear on your side. You can either chat directly to the hosts and the panelists like myself, or you can chat publicly if you've got something that you'd like to share with the entire group that we have here. We also have the option to do some Q&A. There's a Q&A pod, and then an option for some reactions as well. So if you want to give a quick thumbs up, a heart, if I tell a ghost story that's a little too close to home, you can give me a little shocked face on your side. And one thing that we can also do here in Zoom is we can also annotate. So I just drew a little quick circle, and there will be times throughout the session where if you're seeing something, or if I'm asking you to point out something, you can always give it a little draw right on the screen, and we can always take it from there. I'm going to go and clear off my drawings for now. I'm going to turn off the annotation for now. And there's also the Q&A pod. Should questions come up, add your questions in there, and typically I tackle those toward the end of our 45-minute session, depending on the questions that we have here today. So, the tale of vanishing client. We're going to be looking at some of the goals for our session here today. So we're going to be taking a look at where those clients can disengage, the common areas where folks will essentially drop off or get cold. We're going to be setting a plan to avoid that disengagement, to essentially curb that from happening. We're also going to be spotting some ways that delays are occurring with money hitting your bank and how you can avoid those. We do have a poll going. I'm going to go and end the poll because we've got a few more questions coming up here in 3, 2, 1. All right. So looks like we got some brave souls in our audience here today. Looks like 80% of them prefer movies that are almost too spooky to handle. Well, fair play to you. I could definitely handle maybe 1 or 2 of those a year, but definitely I'm a little bit more on the little spooky and the silly spooky side. But fair play to those who can enjoy them. Great. So what we're going to be looking at today we're going to be looking at some common ghosting stories. We're going to be setting with some recipes for success. We're going to be setting action plans on how to avoid that ghosting and those delays in money hitting your bank. And then for those of you who are attending some of the first session in these spooky series of webinars that we're having, we have some tips and treats at the end of the session. No tricks. We just want to make sure you've got some resources on your side to get you started and to ensure your success. So, does this look familiar to anyone and any of their clients? You know, you're working with them, you're engaging with them where they're excited, and then it seems like they're hiding around the corner. They might be pulling the blankets up, or they might not be engaging with you. So this is something that I hear happens to a lot of the customers that I work with, a lot of the accounts I work with. You get someone on the phone, they're excited to work with you, they want to rent your items, they're very excited to engage. Then maybe you don't hear from them a while. Then another week goes by, and they get quiet, and they stop responding to your messages. And then eventually they fade from existence. They drop off the face of the earth. So what we're going to be looking at is where this disengagement can happen and how we can bust those ghosts. So we're going to answer that age-old question of, who are you going to call? So the good news is they're going to reach out to you. We're going to be able to empower your business to quickly get more business flowing easily in your account. So one of the questions that I would love to hear is, how do your clients typically reach out to you? We got a poll going now. So do your clients fill out a contact us form or a contact form on your site? Do they submit a wish list request through our website integration? Do they call you directly? Or do they cover all the mirrors in their house and whisper your name 3 times and you appear in front of them? So I got a few more votes coming in here. Great. Looks like we got most of the people got in vote here. Great. So we're going to go and close the poll. Okay. So it looks like most folks have a contact us form that they have on their site. So what we're going to be taking a look at here is how we can streamline that process and make it easier for them not only to submit their information, but to empower you and your team to get the ball rolling sooner. So let's take a quick look at an example here. Just going to get my other page pulled up. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to get another page pulled here. There we go. So here we've got a contact us form on a page. This is a standard way that a lot of companies get that lead information or get that information fed in from their website or from their account or from their public page here. So this is where the client would typically add in things like their name, their email address, add in their phone number and these other required fields. And then there's essentially a general form of what are you looking for? What do you want to book? So they might tip in like looking for a tent. I want some chairs, or maybe giving you an idea of essentially what style of event that they're looking for. This would then be submitted. You would get an email, then you'd come into Good Shuffle Pro and build that project for them. The good news is there's a much easier way for you to get that information from your client, because essentially what's happening now is they're submitting this general information, and then time is passing, and you're building the project in Good Shuffle, and then you're reaching back out to them. In that time, in that little gap, that's where that disengagement happens. That's where customers start to drop off. They start looking somewhere else. They start shopping around. They stop replying to your emails. This is where that gap occurs, because there's not that frequent touch point, or there's not those warm touches as you go along. So with the website integration, super easy. You could have a page dedicated to weddings or dedicated to specific styles of events. And this is where visitors to your site could scroll down, let you know essentially what style of event they're looking for. One of my favorite parts about the website integration is some companies I've worked with don't want to list their specific items. And that's okay. You can get the information of, do you want to do an elopement, a small, medium, or large wedding, or do you want to pick a specific tent that you want to book? You can always control which items or which services are listed to your client, and you'll always be able to control if pricing is listed. We always suggest listing the price on your items. My dad always told me, Colin, if you need to ask for the price of something, you probably can't afford it. And that typically, deters me from booking with something. I always get a little freaked out when I go to a restaurant and they say market price. I'm like, what do you mean market price? What does that mean? How much is it? Could be anywhere between $0 and infinity dollars, as far as I know. So you could always control what and how the client's going to submit their information, and this is going to tighten that loop, because right away they're going to know the price, or they're going to know essentially what they're looking for, what you offer. That way you'll be able to see, or they'll be able to see more easily on your inventory, some of the pricing, some of the items that you offer. That way they can select some of these items here, and those are added to this little cart symbol, or this heart symbol, I should say, in the bottom right. That way they could just select the dates. Let's say it's going to be next Saturday, and then add in their information. One thing I want to mention here is we only require first name, last name, and email with the website integration. we've done a lot of research in the more information that you require up front, the more that gap is going to start to get created, or the more time that it's going to take for the client to say, oh my gosh, it's so much information to type in all these details and to check all these boxes. I just want to get this information in. So we've got first name, last name, email. Then we have this little notes field of like how many guests. You could always customize that label to say like, tenting companies I work with like to ask, is this event going to be on grass or concrete? The style, indoor, outdoor, any details, you could ask that here. How'd you hear about us? And then they send that list. And right away, that's going to create a project in Good Shuffle Pro in your account using those items that they've selected here. The client's also going to receive an email notification letting them know the wish list has been received. We've got it. We're starting to build the order. So right away, we're tightening up that loop. We're avoiding them submitting that contact us form, then you building the project. This is going to be built for you right away. That way, even if they're submitting it after hours, you can review it right when you're in the office. The project is ready and waiting for you with your morning cup of coffee. So that way you can quickly send that proposal back to the client. One question I often get asked is, Colin, we don't want clients to book on our site. We don't want them to be able to, request 10,000 of our napkins or 10,000 tablecloths on an off day. The good news is you're always going to be in control. You're going to receive this job essentially as a new project in your account. So that way, if it's not something that you can provide, you could always tweak it before you send it back to them for signature. You're always going to be in control of what the client is going to receive or is going to confirm on their side. One other thing that I always like to highlight with setting up these pages or getting started here is taking a look at some example pages here. So here we've got a example of some past events that we've done. So if I scroll down here, I can see we've got some photos, looks great. We've got the photos from the car show, from previous weddings, super great. What do you think is missing from this page? Go and type in the chat. Let me know. What do you think is not on this page that should be? What do you feel is not here? I see a few folks are typing in the chat here. Okay, looks like folks are getting the idea here. Yeah, we've got some folks typing in like, where are the items? Where are the things that I actually see here? So yeah, Mark, suggested rental items. Some things that you can book. We often refer to this as like a call to action without being able to see like, oh man, all this stuff looks great. What do I do next? Without that call to action, without making it easy for your clients to book, they're likely going to jump somewhere else. So to add these example items or to add these to the page, super easy. We can go ahead and just open the editor here. And I'll show you live here, right on the session, how easy it is to list some of the items here. So I've got this page. I'm just going to click to edit. Scroll down. One quick note, I am on Squarespace, so it may look a little bit different if you are on WordPress. So I'm just going to go and add a section here. Blank section. Add a block. Added my code block. And just paste this little snippet of code I've got. Look at that. I've already got some items generated here. Just going to make it a bit bigger. There we go. And of course, you can always fine tune where and how that this is listed, but it's always going to be essential, especially on your like past events page. Make sure you've got some items for the client to book there. That way, if I'm excited, if I want to go and book with you, if I want to give you my business, make it easy for them to see and to know what's going to be offered here. One of the other things I'll highlight, I'm just going to save this. And I'm just going to go back to the preview here. is if we click into any of these items, I know this came up on our last call, is how do accessories like the table and the tablecloth or the chair and the chair cover or sidewalls with the tent, how do those show up on the website integration? So this is going to be how we can see that. For example, if I want to book the tent, I can see it also come with sidewalls as well. Great. So always making it easy for clients to book right on your site and ensure that they can easily see the suggested items or any of those related items on your side. Right, I'm just going to jump back into my slides here. There we go. Yeah. So number one, make it easy for the clients to book. Have that call to action on each of your pages and make sure you're keeping that momentum going. You're keeping that engagement going with your client. So a couple of quick stats about the website integration. Definitely hear that a lot of folks are using a contact us form. So using the website integration, the companies I've talked with in the past have saved over 1,000 hours in their year, because imagine if you can turn around a website quote in 15 minutes and 15 minutes. They were letting me know that the contact us form was taking them an hour to turn it back around. So all that back and forth, the calls, the emails, what are you looking for? What do you want to use? That's going to be taken care of automatically for you. So that way you can ensure the proposal that you're sending them back has the items that they are looking for. It's also helped a company I worked with boost their sales 71% in the first month of using the website integration. So alone, being able to have the clients see the items and see them not only there, but anytime you make changes to the inventory in Good Shuffle Pro, it's going to reflect in real time right on your site, and that's going to boost your sales. It's also going to cut down on the website maintenance, because again, you have that automatically generating updates of when you add new products, it's automatically feeding into your site. When you add new images, that's automatically going to update on your site or immediately update on your site. So if you have any questions or if there's anything I've left unanswered on the website integration, go and add that to the Q&A pod. I'll be happy to take a look into that before we close out the call here. So one other way that we've seen essentially cutting out some of that back and forth or some of those gaps is with clients' payments. So I've got a question for y'all here. So something's missing on the job, or something came back broken. How do you typically handle that on your side? I've got a question here, got a poll that I'm going to run here. There we go. Great. So something's missing on your job. Do you capture a charge on the client's card in Good Shuffle Pro? Do you write them a message to mail you a check? Or do you consult the unholy Necronomicon for a fitting curse to befall this customer? I see someone's in a spooky mood. That's fair. Okay, looks like a couple of people are getting some checks mailed to them. Interesting. Great. Looks like we got a couple more people to get their votes in. Great. I'm going to close out the poll here. Great. So it looks like a few people capture the majority of folks capture a charge on the card. Great to see. Looks like some people get them to mail them a check. And then I see some people do consult their Book of the Dead for a fitting curse. While curses are quick and effective, I don't think they make for sustainable business practices. I have seen many a movie where the curse does not turn out well in the long run. So make sure that when things are missing or things do go not as expected, make sure you are capturing the payment right on the project. This is one of the main benefits of ensuring that you're capturing or securing payments right within our dedicated payment processor, Stripe. So when your clients pay via credit card, we found that 50% of clients pay within 5 minutes of receiving that invoice. 70% pay within 3 days. So making sure that you're getting money in your pocket quickly and easily, making sure that again, you're tightening that loop. It's all about eliminating any of that air in that sales process, because that's when that drop off can happen. So not only will you get paid quicker with our built-in payment processor Stripe, you're also going to be able to secure or capture payments for any additional items, any missing items, repeat jobs. This is a big one with the companies I've worked with that do corporate jobs with the same company every year. They say, "Oh yeah, discharge my card. I'm good for it." So you can just run a charge on that same card and also cover any expenses due to damages. Capturing the payments or securing those payments through credit cards also avoids any of the oh, it got lost in the mail, or yeah, I mailed you a check. I'm winking if you can hear. So this is where you're going to avoid any of that delay of, okay, I've requested the items and now I'm going to write you a check. Oh wait, I got distracted. I'm going to go over here. And then will I ever come back and write you that check? This is going to make sure that you've got that nice tight loop for the client to submit their order and also submit their payment to you, because we want to make sure you're getting some money in your pocket. And lastly, but not leastly, we're going to save the heartburn and the manual effort for your bookkeeper in terms of reconciling those payments, because all of that's going to be bundled together through our payment processor Stripe. You're going to be able to easily see which payments were part of which transfer and make sure you've got all of that taken care of automatically. One of the other, or a couple other things I wanted to share with y'all folks, especially with being able to track essentially who's been ghosting me, where am I at in orders, is actually coming into the project list here. Great. So here on the project list, I've got some of my upcoming jobs. I can see essentially when or which projects have open tasks or which projects I may need to take action on. I can see the last time I messaged the client and then also the last time they've opened the message. And just to annotate that a little bit here, I'm going to get out my pen. So I've got my task tracker here, last message sent, and then last message opened. So this is where I can easily see, looks like this project for Alberts, I messaged them March of 2022 and they've never opened one of my messages. Time to cut my losses and move on to another project. This is going to give you that insight right at a glance of who do I need to follow up with? Who is at risk of ghosting me? Who is, at the possibility of just fading into the ether? And this is how you can get ahead and avoid any of that. There's a way that we can set up automation, or we can set up ways to automatically notify the client when we send them a quote. So we can do that by clicking my name up here in the top, or pardon me, we can click that into messages, excuse me. Templates. And one quick second here, folks. I'm just getting a little update here. Thanks for your patience, folks. So I'm just here in my account settings. I'm going to click my name up in the top right, click into account, settings, and if I scroll down just a little bit more, this is where I can edit the quote expiration on my account. Now, quick show of hands, or you can raise your hand, give me a quick thumbs up. How many folks are using quote expiration on their jobs by default? Who's got that on? Great. See a few people raising your hand. Beautiful. Great. Excellent. Good to see it. If you're not using quote expiration, okay, not by default. So this is where you can turn it on by default. So that way, any job that you build, when you send out those quotes, you can make sure you've got that automated ping to the client to let them know, hey, this quote's only good for so long. That way you can stop chasing those dead leads. And if people are not responding to, you know that it's automatically going to clear out those orders, making sure you're focusing on those live leads, on those hot leads that you've got. So you can always edit the rules here. So we can set the quote to expire 10 days before either the first quote is sent or the most recent quote is sent. We can send a reminder 7 days before expiration. We can send another one 5, and we can add another one on 3. And then we can set what happens when that quote is expired. Now, for those of you who are using quote expiration in the session here today, do you either mark the project as lost or do you just disable online signatures? I've seen it's been balancing about 50-50 based off of how the companies I've worked with have set up their expiration. Yeah, it looks like most people set it up as lost that are in the call here. Okay, a couple people disable signature. Yeah. Yeah. So what I see here is looks like the majority of folks, at least that I can see here, disable the signatures on the projects. One of the reasons why I recommend using or marking the projects as lost is for conflicts. Disabling signatures is a great way to ensure that the project stays active or you see it on your list, but those items are still looking for conflicts. Or those items are essentially still thinking those items are in use on the job, whereas marking the project as lost will free those items up. That way, if a quote has been expired or has expired and the signatures have been or has expired from the client, it's not going to keep letting you know that those items are still in use on that job. Disabling signatures is a great way to ensure that the project essentially stays on your open list or stays essentially quasi-active, but it prevents the client from signing on their side. Great question. Mark's got a question here. What do most companies use as the expiration date? Most companies I work with do expire 7 to 10 days before the event. Some go up to 14 days, but definitely those of you who are in the call with us today, if there's anyone who I haven't spoken with directly, go and type in the chat. Let us know when you've set the quotes to expire. Is it more than 14 days? Is it 30 days before the event? Go and let us know. I see folks are typing in here, but I'll keep an eye on that and make sure we can circle back to that before we get off the call here. Great. So I know we covered a lot of ground here. Yeah, so it looks like most folks do 10 to 14 days. Yeah, very cool. Nice. Cool. Well, yeah, really appreciate the feedback and especially what y'all are finding helpful on your side. And yeah, if there's any other feedback, definitely let me know. Happy to share some of the other resources and some of the other findings I've got from my side. One of the main things that I always recommend is send the client a notification of the expiration. That way they get that extra prompt, they get that extra hit that the quote has been expired. Right. So what's next? So there's a couple quick things that I would recommend doing right when we're on the call here is you can always minimize my little window here of what I'm sharing. But one of the best ways that I would recommend getting started or taking those next steps, and I'll do it with you here, folks. So I'm just going to go back into Good Shuffle Pro. Click on your project list up in the top left. And click to edit your columns in the top right. So this is where we can customize the look and the layout of your project list to give you some instant insight in terms of what's going on in your projects. We covered a lot of examples of how to use this in terms of inventory tracking and item movement. But to focus more specifically on like sales and who's ghosting you and what happened, we can click into the messages tab here. We can get last message sent and last message opened. Under other, we could add in the task tracker. And there's one last one that I would recommend here. Let me just take a look to see if I've got it in my little environment here. Great. So we're just under the sales tab. We could also add in a quote expiration tab here, or tile, I should say. And again, one quick thing, you could always click and drag these tiles to rearrange them. Commonly, I see last message sent and opened quite close together. Update those columns. This way, when the quotes do expire, or if we do have any projects that have expired here, we'll be able to see when that expiration triggered or took place here on the right-hand side. Cool. I do see we have some questions in the Q&A, so I'm just going to go ahead and get our second task here. So make sure that for any time that you are securing payments, cut down on that time for money hitting your bank by avoiding offline transactions. And one tool I'll give you here is jumping back into my account. And again, you can follow along with me here. I'm going to click my name up in the top right. Click into account. Settings here toward the left side. And then I can control which method of payments my clients are going to see on their side. So if I'm tired of people mailing me checks and then I have to put all those checks in a big burlap sack with a dollar sign on it, then move it to the bank and then reconcile it with my accountant, I can disable that. That way my clients will easily be able to pay right through Stripe, through credit card, or through ACH, essentially like an e-check directly from their bank right into my account, cutting out on that time for them to maybe get distracted and step away. Great. Just before we head into some of the questions here, I know we're seeing a few more new faces who may not have been in some of our earlier sessions. So a few of the treats I want to share with y'all, because golly, folks, we're coming up on the end of my favorite month, so I didn't want to leave this month without a few treats for y'all. So we do have a discount code, Spooky20. That's good to the end of today. That's going to save you 20% on any new annual subscriptions. Typically, or ordinarily, you would get a free month with switching to annual billing, but this is going to jump that up to 20%, which is a huge savings, particularly on your like core login. Most companies save at least, I think it's like over $200 in the year. Ordinarily, you would get $99 back, so like a free month, but this is going to boost that up quite significantly. It's only good to the rest of today. So if there are new teammates or if you want to get started with the website integration, this is a perfect time to get that integration active, get that on annual billing, and make sure you're saving that 20%. One thing about the website integration I always like to mention is we're always happy to help you get it set up and even share some resources on design and make sure it can get customized to the way you like with one of our preferred partners. Speaking of referrals, we also do offer a $100 referral bonus. So if there are other companies that you work with that like, man, I like the way their website looks, or I think they would really benefit from getting started with Good Shuffle Pro, you could always send them to sales@goodshuffle.com. That way we know who to send the referral bonus to. And last but not least, the last treat I've got free here is a quick preview of something that we've got cooking. So I'm going to go and share my other screen for you real quick, just before we get into those questions here. So we've got something working on our side to more easily or allow you to more quickly edit your inventory. For example, coming to the end of the year, you're confirming your inventory counts. So you're looking, okay, looks like we actually have 40 chairs. We bought 5 more this last week. So we could quickly update those counts right in your inventory. We could do the same thing with adding additional tags. So if we want to say these are good for like backyard events, we could save those tags. We could add internal notes. Clean only with, blah, blah, blah. And then even update the attributes on the items or those properties of the items. So if we have another supplier, or if we have another place that we've got these items from, we can update that right within your inventory. Well, thank you again, folks, for joining with us here today. I'm going to go and answer some of these questions here with the recording going. That way we can go and get any additional questions answered here. And I'm also going to pull up, I've got a list here of some of my favorite spooky movies. So let me know if there are some that you've seen, or if there are any ones that you would recommend I add to my list. Let me know. I'm going to go and take a look into the questions here. So we've got a question from Corey. Can you set how new projects created from the wishlist feature are named by default? So by default, it's always going to look at the client's last name and the venue. That'll set the default of the project name in Good Shuffle Pro, either projects that you create yourself or that come from the website integration. If you can let me know in the chat essentially what you would be looking for with the name on the project, that'll make sure I can circle back or gather some details for our team. Got a question from Jared here. Would having the wishlist option on your website without pricing be as effective, or just showing pricing generally increase engagement? Jared, what an excellent question. I will always suggest show pricing. The reason being is that's going to ensure that folks essentially know what they're getting into. They have more confidence in you and your business, and more trust in your business. So one of the things that we always talk about, or that I always like to share with folks, is companies like to work with, or people like to work with companies that they know, like, and trust. And I think it's that last one, trust. If you're keeping your prices hidden, it's like, no. You got to come in first. Yeah, then we'll show you the price. That doesn't instill a lot of confidence in me on my side. I would rather know, like, cool, I know at least the ballpark. I know what to expect before I start engaging with your company. That way they can see the price. You're already setting that transparency. You're setting that expectation that you are someone that they're going to know, like, and trust. Let me know if that helps answer your question, Jared. And if not, happy to circle back on any questions I may have left unanswered on my side. Sweet. I got a question from Mark. Can the items that are marked as not returned and identified in the revised contract as missing or damaged be populated automatically with the replacement value of that item, streamlining the additional invoice? So what I would recommend in that case, Mark, is definitely hearing that, like, having that automation of when X is damaged, automatically add a replacement cost, or that replacement cost to it. Happy to flag that for our team to see if that automation is something that we can add to our radar. One thing that I do see folks do a lot, especially if they are experiencing a high uptick of damages on their side, is they built a product or a service in their inventory called, like, damaged goods or damaged items. That way they can add the price, or they can add the cost, or just override the cost on those specific jobs, and track essentially how much revenue they're getting from those items going missing and when they last used them. That way they can see that total, or they can report on that total lost, or that total revenue for the year. But yeah, definitely hear you on wanting to, when things are missing, essentially having that step automated of thing was missing, now go and add in the replacement cost. Happy to flag that for our team as well, Mark. Question from Mustafa. If the project is lost, can we make it active again? Absolutely. Yep. So you could always recover lost projects. Yeah, one of the other things about lost projects is the client, when they go to sign, they'll see a more explicit notification saying, hey, this project was canceled. Reach out to the business to learn more, to get the ball rolling again. Gotcha. And Corey, thank you for letting me know about essentially, like, the naming convention of your of your projects or of your events. If you can let our team know in the chat a little bit more about essentially your goals or what you use to see or to accomplish with that naming convention. There's a few things that a lot of other businesses I've worked with have found helpful in terms of like the layout of their project list to identify like the date of the event, the company, and the venue. But would love to hear more from our team in the chat of how we can help on that. Well, folks, we're coming toward the end of our session here. Definitely don't forget about that Spooky 20 discount. That's only good for the rest of today. So if you are interested in things like the website integration or any additional teammates, now is the best time to get that done. It's only good for the rest of tonight. But thank you all for joining in our sessions here. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jared and Corey, for these great questions. Mustafa as well for those excellent questions as well. We'll be sending the recordings out likely by the end of the day today. It just depends on the recording or the processing speed of some of these recordings. But thank you again for your time. We look forward to hearing from you soon, and I'll include some additional resources in my follow-up. Perfect. Well, thanks again for your time, folks. Be well. Bye.